So I need a plan to get out there and ride my bike a lot more often than I have been lately. It has been a very long and cold winter, and it has not been much of a warmer spring either. It has been very rainy, as you can see outside. You see that? So I developed a pretty easy plan for myself to get out there and ride more often. And if you struggle to get out there and ride your bike more often, especially if the weather is anything less than perfect, this can definitely help you out. Now, my plan for riding in the winter or rainy season has always just been get out there as much as I can. And if I don't feel like getting out there on the road in the weather, just ride the indoor trainer. However, this past winter, I just got super bored with the indoor trainer, and I found that I'd either A, make videos, work, do YouTube work, or B, just go to the gym and get more workouts in. So when I put my indoor trainer away, I just figured, great, as long as it's not 32 degrees Fahrenheit, as long as it's not freezing, I can go out there, no problem. The problem I'm finding is I always tend to complain about the weather, whether it's windy, whether it's not warm enough. I'm always waiting for that perfect day. But I know what's going to happen. That perfect day is going to come, and then it's just going to be too crowded, and I'm just going to find something else to complain about. So that's enough rambling for now. Let's talk about my easy plan for myself to get out there and ride more. Welcome to Essential Cycling. All right, first, we got to talk about the bikes that I've chosen. Behind me, I have my Wabi Classic single speed bike, and I've also got my Wabi Thunder underneath. These bikes are full steel. They are not carbon. They don't have any gears. There's no derailleurs here. They don't have disc brakes. They're rim brake only. Super simple. Why? Why would I do that? Well, I find that riding single speed bikes is just a lot simpler, and especially the way that I have these bikes set up, it just makes it a little bit easier to just go, get out there and just grab the bike and go basically. And if we take my outfit for today, what I'm wearing, just Levi's 511s, just a long sleeve Oxford shirt, and I do have a pair of Vans slip-ons right now. I typically like to ride in Vans slip-ons or Vans old schools if I have flat pedals. And these bikes, they are outfitted with flat pedals, and they also have Brooks saddles, which Brooks leather saddles. I know some people don't like them. Some people really love them. I fall into the camp of I do really like them. They are very expensive. They are very heavy. However, if you want to actually go out there and be able to ride in whatever clothes you're wearing, Brooks saddles are definitely a big pro. While it is awesome to get out there on a geared road bike with Di2 that has amazing shifting, carbon fiber, disc brakes, tubeless tires, the whole 9 yards, the problem with those bikes is you have to change into your entire outfit, and a lot of times, even though it's pretty simple, it takes like 5 minutes to change, it does add an extra barrier. And for me, every time I actually change and get out there when I'm all kitted out on the bike, I have to make sure that I trimmed my arms, trimmed my legs, my arm and leg hairs, and I want to get out there for more than an hour. So what if I get out there for half an hour? I feel like I changed for nothing. So now let's talk more about the bikes. This is a Wabi Classic single speed bike, full carbon fiber. No, not full carbon fiber. Full steel, not full carbon fiber. Back to the video. I mentioned the Brooks saddle right here. This is great because I can just ride in jeans, or I can ride in regular shorts. I can ride this bike in plain clothes, as I call it. I don't actually have to dress up like a superhero. Aluminum handlebars, aluminum stem, brim brakes. For tires, I've got the Continental Gator Skin in the 28mm. Apparently these things are not that great in the wet weather. However, honestly, rim brakes are not that great in the wet weather. And what I'm gonna do with this bike if I ride it in the rain is I'm just going to ride slow. And 28mm wide tires actually do pretty decent in the rain in my experience. I don't typically run these at a super high pressure. In the rain, I probably run them about 70, 75 PSI. I wouldn't go below 70 PSI for the 28mm tires, but I have done 65 and even 60, no problem. So I'm okay lowering the tire pressure and just riding slower and more carefully in the rain. They are wrapped around Wabi's sub 15 wheels. I really like these wheels. They're very lightweight, they're very agile, they make the bike feel super responsive. Same story in the back. I do have the Tubolito inner tubes right there, more just for puncture protection, honestly. So this bike, I'm pretty puncture proof. Fingers crossed. I know I shouldn't say that word. The brakes, I've got TRP RG957 brakes. These brakes are absolutely awesome. They can fit a 32mm wide tire in there at least. I think people online have even showed they fit a 35mm wide tire. So these brakes are super powerful, super simple, and never given me any issues at all. For brake pads, I do have Salmon Cool Stop pads, so if I do get caught in the rain, these still work no problem. It just means I'm gonna have to take more time to clean the rim, since these are the old school rim brakes after all. Gearing, I've got a 46 tooth in the front and a 17 tooth in the back. On the back, I do have the Dos Anos freewheel, as you could see right there. So I'm on the regular mode right now, which is 4617. I can change it to 4619 as well. I may do that just because I haven't been cycling a lot lately, and I find that a lower gear is always better to start out with, and if it gets too easy, switch it to a higher gear. Freewheel, of course, I don't ride fixed gear anymore. I used to a long time ago, but I have more fun when I'm actually freewheeling on a normal style bike. Now, that being said, I do have a fixed cog on the other side. I always like to keep a fixed cog just in case something happens to the freewheel or just in case something happens to one of my brakes. I find that when you ride a fixed gear, you can slow the bike down with your feet. You don't have to rely on your brakes so much. I would always recommend running front and rear brakes on any bike you ride on the street, whether it's a track bike, fixed gear, whatever. But if one of the brakes actually goes down, it's nice. I can just flip the wheel around and then I'm on a fixed gear and I can actually rely on my feet to slow myself down. Now, underneath the Brooks saddle, since it is a leather saddle, I have a rain cover as well. I don't plan on riding this bike in the rain. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the one downside of the Brooks saddle, since they are made of leather, is they're not the greatest in the rain. You wouldn't want to get them soaked all the time. So you just have to take some leather conditioner that Brooks makes, the Brooks Proofide. This stuff right there. It's on Amazon. It comes with it. Every couple of months I do this. I really don't do it very often, honestly. But whenever I think about it, I do it. Tools and spares. On this bike and the bike behind me, I've got a little mini pump that just lives on the side. It just gets strapped in right there. On the back, I have a lead-out saddle bag. This has a multi-tool and 2 Tubolito inner tubes and a tire lever. It packs up really nicely. It's just gonna stay right there. On the front of this bike, I have a lead-out bar bag, which I really enjoy. I really like the lead out stuff. I saw them on Instagram. I got some of their stuff. I'm really impressed with it. This is just going to take some snacks. Maybe I'll throw in a lightweight lock in there as well. These bags for the most part are going to live on this bike just because it's one less thing I have to do in order to get out there and get on the bike. And of course I have my light mounts. I am using the Magic Shine lights, front and rear. They're great lights. They're USB-C. We don't have to deal with that micro USB crap anymore. And out front, I just have a Wahoo mount. That way I can just put the lights on, put the water bottles in, and go. Now here's the second bike I'm going to be relying on to get back out there. It's very similar to the Wabi Classic I was just showing you. It's another Wabi. It's Wabi's Thunder. This is their gravel bike, their single speed cyclocross bike, whatever you want to call it. It basically is very similar to the Classic and their other models. This one just fits much wider tires. So similarities of this bike, we've got the same handlebar, the same brake levers, the same stem. We've got the same saddle. We've got the same lead out saddle bag. This one is in black. Same thing like I was saying. 2 Tubolito inner tubes in the back along with a multi-tool and a tire lever. I've also got my Magic Shine light mounts and the GPS mount up front, the Wahoo GPS mount. Same pedals, same thing, so the contact points are exactly the same. I really like the bar tape pedals. I really like the 3 contact points. Gearing for this bike, I'm on 4419, so this is a much easier geared bike than this bike up here, that bike up there. This bike is going to be more of a sit down and chill bike. It also has wider tires, so this is going to be more of like the recovery ride, the relaxing ride. But this bike also, although it is quite a bit heavier than the Classic, because it's geared down so much more, it probably is going to be a little bit easier to get over more hills. I've got the exact same system on the back as so far as that Dos Anos White Industries freewheel. 4419 is what I've got right now. I could switch it to 4417 for this bike. I leave it on 4419. I just like being able to sit down and chill. And then I've got a 19 tooth fixed gear cog on the other side. We already talked about that. Differences between this bike and that bike. The major difference is I've got 32 millimeter wide Continental Grand Prix 4-season tires. I'm pretty sure these tires are going to be discontinued and they're going to be replaced with the, what's it called? Grand Prix 5000 all season. I think those tires are going to be awesome anyway. I do have Tubolito inner tubes in here. These are the CX ones for wider tires. I predominantly use these for the added puncture resistance. Knock on wood, I find the puncture resistance is actually pretty decent in these compared to normal rubber inner tubes, but it is nice. I think they cut down half the weight, half the rotational weight, which does make a big deal. Fenders. This bike pretty much has fenders on it all the time. In the back, I got an SKS Raceblade Pro XL strap-on fender. My favorite fenders on the market. If you've got a bike that you just want to be able to have clip-on fenders that have the most coverage, SKS race blade fenders, there'll be a link in the description. Check them out. Up front, I've got an SKS S forward fender, a little bit different. I might put the race blade on. These come as a set, obviously, but I might put the race blade on. They cover just more, and if I'm going to be out there in the rain, for example, today it's actually raining outside, that is something I'm going to do. Brakes on this bike, I am using the TRP CX 8.4, and I've got the same brake pads, Salmon Cool Stop brake pads. When I first put these brakes on this bike, I found they were a bit spongy, and I went back and forth between the cantilever brakes, but then I found that if I was able to get the Jaguar compressionless cable housing, really made the brakes feel a lot better. And I've always experienced brake shudder, especially on the front brake here, but I did tow in the pads. So far, no brake shudder. Knock on wood, knock on wood. The brake shudder gonna be gone, but these brakes are really good. Let's get rid of our cantilever brakes here in 2024. V-brakes, mini V-brakes are great. As you can see, tire clearance is absolutely amazing up front. In the rear, the tire clearance is still pretty good. This is a 32 millimeter wide tire. I can actually run a 38, no problem. And I've even seen Wabi put a 43 on their website with these brakes. I wouldn't want to go that wide anyway, but I'm okay with that. One final thing about this bike you'll see is really with these rims, there is a mark right here. Because these are rim brakes, the rim is actually the braking surface on the brakes. So there is a black mark right here. The reason for that mark is because when that mark goes away, the rim's trash. It's time to replace the rims. While I don't hate rim brakes, I think they're an awesome simplified system. A lot of us will be totally fine on rim brakes. I don't think we need disc brakes as much as the bike industry tells us we do. One of the main downfalls of rim brakes is the braking surface is actually the wheel. So after time, you're actually going to be wearing away your wheel, wearing away your rim. And one thing that's nice about these rims is there's actually a black line right here. And that black line, once it disappears, it's time to get rid of the rim. Otherwise, you may suffer a blowout. The rim can actually start to burst away, which is not going to be a good day if that happens to you. Finally, bike bags. You could see I have a handlebar bag from Lead Out up there on the Classic. I don't have one on the Thunder. I did have a little snack bag on. I'm not sure I like the way it looks, but I've got a frame bag from Lead Out, actually. I've got this frame bag I might put on one of them. I think this one's pretty cool. It does still hit the water bottle right here, but overall it might just be a little bit easier. It's one less thing I have to do depending on which bike I want. I'm probably gonna move the bar bag from the Classic to the Thunder and then just put this one on the Classic because this one's probably gonna be more aero because it's not a big burrito style roll sitting out in front of the air. Not that I really care about aero. Something else I'm also going to be doing is typically grabbing a backpack and just throwing the backpack on and riding. A couple reasons I like riding with backpacks. I like always carrying a small lightweight lock. I live in Queens, New York City, and it's just nice to be able to lock my bike up if I'm running inside to get a quick snack. Or maybe I'm on my way home and I actually want to get something to eat. It's nice to be able to do that. I would not want to let my bike out of my sight anyway. I have this 5-pound New York lock. I don't take it with me all the time, but if I'm going to ride to Manhattan and I do want to stop for coffee, I'd rather carry an extra 5 pounds on my back than have one of my bikes be stolen and then I don't have it and I'm out a bike. I typically bring a smaller one in here, especially since the weather's so weird lately in the spring. I typically have gloves. I may have a hat. I have a rain hat as well. I also always like to bring a real pump. This is the Topeak Road Morph. This thing is almost as good as or pretty much is just as good as a floor pump you would use in the house or in the garage. And then I also like to take just one extra Tubolito. You can never be too careful. And it's nice just to have this as an overflow. I tend to keep it pretty lightweight. I may put a couple of extra tripods in there for my phone and my action camera. When I first got this camera, the Sony ZV-E1, I did start to put it in here, but when you start taking a camera like this, even though it's a super lightweight camera, it's still a full frame camera. You still got to take extra batteries. It does add an extra 2 or 3 pounds, and that's a lot when you're actually trying to be out there riding your bike. And sometimes my back hurts with these backpacks, but I like keeping a backpack small, lightweight. Now this is one of my old ones. This is the old Osprey Radial. I've really been enjoying using this backpack. This is the Osprey Metron. This I use more for my everyday carry. And this one's about half the weight just because the Radial actually has a frame in it and the frame does add an extra pound or two, which the frame is good, but it's just sometimes if you don't need that much stuff, then a small lightweight bag like this is pretty good. You could expand this. Both these packs come with a rain cover down there, so this is probably going to be the one that I just transfer all my stuff into. This one I pretty much just keep all of my cycling stuff in here, and that way, you know, I just know where everything is. Wheels, the Wabi Classic does have the sub 15 super lights up there. These wheels are going to be a little bit heavier than the super lights, but they're going to be a lot stronger. They have 32 spokes in each wheel, whereas up there we got 20 spokes in the front, 24 in the rear. I do have these outfitted with 32 millimeter Panaracer Gravel Kings. These do blow up to only about a 30 millimeter, which they do just fit in the Classic. So I may also just try to actually ride these with the Classic, just because I put these on for a video a long time ago, but I actually haven't gone out there and ridden with these. So pretty simple bike collection, lightweight, fast, single speed road bike, simplicity. If it's raining, if it's cold outside, if I just want to chill, if I'm just going out for 5 miles or so, a half an hour, this one is a sit down and chill bike, and this one is more of like an attacker type bike. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely take a look at this video next, and there's also a playlist that's going to pop up right now over there with a lot more videos such as this one. And don't forget to click on that little circle up in the corner. So hope this helped motivate you to get out there regardless of the weather, get out on your bike, try to remove those mental and physical barriers. Leave me a comment below, let me know if this helped. Feel free to let me know if you think I'm full of it. Either way, your choice. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.